Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Tilson Live. It is Tuesday. It is 2 o'clock. We are live on Facebook, live on YouTube, coming at you as we do each and every single week to talk about all things building on your land. If you're looking to build a home on your land, you are at the right spot. Tuesday, 2 o'clock, Tilson Live. I'm Eric Allard, part of the fourth generation of the Tilson family. We are an on-your-lot, fourth generation, family-owned and operated home builder, joined, as I am each and every week, by the great, the wonderful, the magical Dawn Dantzler. Welcome, Dawn.
Hey, Eric. How's it going?
It's going great. It's going great. We are cruising into the end of 2023. So to give you folks, there's your perspective. We're about 2 weeks out from 2024. So if we quote any prices, there you go. That's what it's about. That's what we're talking about. But anyway, folks, jump in. Tell us where you're watching from, where you're building, what part of the process that you are in. Are you just thinking about building a home on your land? Is this your first time joining us? Is this your 12th time joining us? Are you already started on the process? You've picked out your plan, but you're still making some modifications, or maybe you're trying to get your land prepared and we can help you with that. Or maybe you're already on down the road. You've done your stakeout. Maybe you are in getting your plans approved by your subdivision or getting some engineering done, or maybe you're under construction, or maybe you closed and you're enjoying the holidays in your new home. Maybe that's happening. But we'll jump in. We want to hear from you. We want to hear where you're building, what part of the process you're in, what you're building, and obviously we'd love pictures too. If you got pictures, show them to us. We want to see that of your home or Christmas decorations. We'll see Christmas decorations. That'd be cool.
Or like the picture that you saw in the intro of Miss Flickner, who had a Santa come out to have cookies in her Tilson home. Baked cookies with the grandkids.
That's pretty amazing. Yeah, that's going to be hard to top. But do folks jump in again, where you're watching from, where you're building, what part of the process you're in. We want to hear from you. Dawn is going to tell us while y'all are doing that what in the world we're talking about today, because it's not just Eric hearing his head rattle. We got stuff going on. What's happening?
So today we figured, since we're coming to the end of the year, a lot of people are thinking about getting this process started next year, and we just wanted to talk about some of the most frequently asked questions that we get from people who are kind of more at the beginning of the process. We wanted to kind of talk those through and talk about the most common questions we've been getting the last couple of weeks. But also, as always, we are here to answer whatever is on y'all's mind. So if it's not in our deck, feel free to ask us about it.
Yeah. So we've got some boilerplate questions that we can start you with, but anything in the world you're thinking about as far as building a home on rural land or on a city lot in Texas, we've done it all. We do it all over the place. If you're thinking about design changes, we can answer those questions. Construction process, what kind of materials that we use, why we use those materials, what to expect on the front end and during construction and after construction and move in. If you want to talk about site preparation, you want to talk about construction drives and culverts and septic systems and water wells and getting power or utilities to the site, how all that happens, how inspections are done. We can answer all those questions. You want to talk about financing? We can talk about financing. We have a thorough understanding of that as well. So the whole show is about y'all. We want to answer all your questions. So there's no such thing as a dumb question unless I ask it. Other than that, there are no dumb questions. We understand that this is a unfamiliar process for most everybody. Like if you're really lucky, you might get to own a home, like the American dream, right? If you're super, super lucky, you might get to build one from the ground up on your own piece of property. Like that's very, very rare. We understand that. So there are no bad questions. There are no dumb questions. Everything needs to be known. We want you guys to be totally familiar with this process because with increased familiarity, we find it's reduced friction. So the more you know, the better off you're going to be. That's why we are here. So as we do each and every single week, we're going to go through a little presentation. You guys are encouraged to drop all of your questions or comments into the chat. So you got any questions all about design, about financing, about construction, about site preparation, design modifications, you think I need a different kind of hairstyle, put it in the comments. We want to make you guys happy. We want to, if you got, where you're doing Christmas, maybe we could do New Year's resolutions. I don't know if people do those.
Oh,
might be a thing.
You want to share? If you needed a little accountability partner?
We can help it because it's going to be on the internet in the comment section forever. So
forever.
Yeah. If you're looking for some very strict high level accountability, this is a great place to drop it in there. I'm sure the whole Tilson family will be like, hey, how's the diet going in March? Everybody good? All right. So let us see who's joining us, and then we'll jump into the presentation. Dawn, what is going on?
Oh, joining us from Klondike.
Howdy,
Hey,
Will.
We've got Christian. Hello from Lisa and Lisa Sumner and Christian Sumner, Foundation Valley Port in Bridlegate and Bandera, Texas.
Oh, beautiful.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
We got Stephanie, currently in Wisconsin, moving back to the Dallas area, building a Tampico C in Ellis County. Design appointment Thursday and stake out next month.
Awesome. We hope you can leave the coldness, get down here to the warmth.
Yes. We've got Lisa, howdy from Cowtown, building Magnolia B in Bridlegate and Bandera County. Our foundation was poured this past Thursday.
All right. There we go.
We got Misty, hello from Mansfield, building the San Jacinto Extra Large in Hood County. Concrete pour scheduled for Thursday.
Oh, nice. Okay. Rolling.
We got Les asking, can this be watched later? Yes, absolutely. It is on the internet forever and ever. So just come back. It looks like you found us on Facebook. Come back to Facebook and it will be there.
They do also live on our website, right? Or in our YouTube channel.
Yes, they also live in our blog.
Yep.
Yeah. And then we've got Cindy and Alan looking to build a Rockwall C in Grayson County in 2024.
Very cool. So I'm guessing, Cindy, you've probably seen the Rockwall there in Melissa. That's between you and Grayson County, almost halfway, I guess, thereabouts. So, yeah. Cool house.
Beautiful house. Beautiful.
All right. Well, folks, as we jump into the presentation, thank you all for joining us. We're going to prompt some questions. Obviously, all of your questions are welcome, right? We want to hear everything you want to know about design, construction, financing, site preparation. That's my favorite. Did I mention site preparation? Love it.
You did.
Jump in and ask those questions.
The best.
We're going to talk about a lot of those things, but if we don't have your specific one queued up, ask us. That's why we're here. Oh,
Cindy says, yes, she loves it. She wants the bigger porch. We can make that happen.
Yeah.
And then very exciting news from Jennifer. We are closing on our home tomorrow in Myco. That's
very
awesome.
Cool. Congratulations. That's quite the Christmas present.
Is Sharon. I want to wish everyone a safe, blessed Merry Christmas and New Year. Going to have Christmas this year in our Tilson.
Oh, Merry Christmas, Will.
Merry Christmas, Will. All righty. Presentation.
All right. So away we go. Talking about all things frequently asked questions. So, Dawn, fire us off. What's going on here first?
First thing people are always curious about is, does my land need to be paid off before building? And that with Tilson, that's not going to be a requirement. So you are going to need to, meet whatever equity requirements there are with the financing program that you choose. But no, you do not need to own your property outright. Depending upon what option you go with for financing, you will, if you're paying, I believe if you're paying cash, or this applies as well, but I know definitely with our EasyBuy program, you continue to, if you do have a loan on your land, you'll just continue to make those payments throughout construction. And then at the end, it'll need to be, you'll take care of it. With the EasyBuy program, that's going to get rolled into your final mortgage. If you get a construction loan, the first thing that's going to happen as a part of that construction loan process is it will pay off your land loan. But no, you do not need to own your property outright. We just will need your name on that title, on the deed.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's everything I said. But since I wrote the slide deck, I knew what it said.
But this is a pretty picture. So.
It is a pretty picture. One of my favorites.
We have got to fire this cue card guy. He is terrible. Terrible.
This next one we don't hear as often, but it did come up yesterday, and I thought it was worth a conversation. We got the question, do I need to transfer the deed into my builder's name during construction?
Right. And so there are a number of builders who do require this. So basically you would deed your land over to them, and they would get the financing all set up, and they build the house. And then once you close, the property, the land improvements and all, which is how land conveys in Texas, it includes the improvements. It is deeded back to you once they're paid. That's not how we do it. We do not, Tilson does not do, we do not want, you don't have to deed the property over to us. We file what's called, in Texas, we do a builder's and mechanics lien contract. So basically you sign a promissory note, and you sign a promissory note and a mechanics lien that authorizes us to put a lien on that property. that as long as we finish the house to your liking and you do the walkthrough and all that kind of good stuff, then you promise to pay us. And in 85% of instances, it's through a mortgage of some sort, a permanent mortgage. But at no time does Tilson take over the title to your property. But there are a number of builders out there who do. So be sure you ask those questions, how that works, and how to mainly, if you do decide to go that route, how's that transferred back to you, and how's that handled, and who holds the escrow
what kind of
money?
protection do you have since you don't own your land anymore?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That just makes me really. I put approach with caution. Like, ask a lot of questions, get a lot of referrals. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
figure out what's happening, because that makes me. We talk about engineers being twitchy. That makes me twitchy. Like,
Yeah, it's not illegal, but it is.
Yeah.
Could be risky. Because
Yeah.
again, we talk, and we don't get into it in this one, but some of our other on your lot ones, we do talk about. You could have a higher net worth than your builder that you're hiring. Like, that's a real possibility. So,
Well,
anyway.
then you add in, to be a home builder in Texas, there are no licensing requirements. You just literally say, I want to be a builder. And now you are one. So that just makes me, I'm sure there's a reason they do it, and ask them to explain it to you, but be careful with those guys. Just be careful.
Agreed.
All right. Well, how long is it going to take to build my home, Eric?
Well, it depends. So, and actually, I'll say, so we'll give the broad answer first. Our goal is to get it done as quickly as possible, without sacrificing quality, or safety. So we're looking right now about 10 to 12 months. Probably more of them lean towards that 12-month time frame. We've been very lucky with not a lot of rain this year. I say that lucky from a builder standpoint, not a farmer standpoint. But it's we've been pretty fortunate that we're getting the average right there. We've come way down from our highs during the supply chain ridiculousness, and so we're hitting the 12-month time frame pretty frequently now. We have some that are hitting the 10-month. We have some that are going to 14. So a lot of it depends on you, the customer. How prepared is the property? And by prepared, I mean, are you carving out some acreage? Is there going to need to be a replat done? Is it inside of a city that they're going to require some additional platting or planning or studies, mitigation study, hydrological studies, conveyance studies? Those are things that add time. Some of the inspections that they do can add time, even though we have all of our homes inspected by third parties. Sometimes the city can drag that out. Sometimes the subdivision or architectural control committee can drag that out. But really, it's the customer's ability to do a couple of things. One, get the house ready, get the property, the site ready to build. So utilities, utility applications, things like that. And then the other one is a customer's ability to stand by one's decisions, which is a very politically correct way of saying, can you not make changes? So changes do not always add money. Changes always add time. Always, 100% of the time, they add time. So that's really the biggest driver, honestly, of the time frame these days is the customer's preparedness of the property and propensity to change. So if those two things can be kept in check, we hit that 10 to 12-month time frame in most instances, with a couple of exceptions around the state. Now, Dawn, break us out how we get there, because it's not 10 to 12 months of construction. How does this work?
Right. So, Eric was kind of talking about the two different things. So what we kind of refer to as the pre-construction phase, which is that time from when you sign your agreement to when we are ready to begin construction. So all that time that is spent, drawing up your plans, making your color selections, doing the work to get the property ready to be built on, getting all of those, any permits that we need, getting your septic system designed, all of that type of work, ACC approvals, all of that kind of stuff is happening in kind of that pre-construction phase. And that generally is somewhere between 3 to 4 months. If we are encountering some of those things that Eric was mentioning, like we have to do additional studies or additional approvals, cities really are kind of what slows us down here. Or if we're dealing with, I hate to say the word, sorry, but replats, things like that, that's going to make this longer. But on average, this is about 3 to 4 months that you'll spend kind of in that phase, assuming that we're not changing our plans a lot and changing our minds. And then on the construction side, that team is averaging 7 to 8 months now is what they're saying. If they started you today, we should be done 7 to 8 months. Obviously, that's also going to be affected by if you're in a city and the city does need to come in and inspect, and then we're on their time frame for the third party inspections rather than somebody else's, or weather. whether if that rain that we have been blessed not to have as much this year, if we get more, bad weather, then, that could also delay construction as well. But that's how we get to that 10 to 12 months that we're averaging. And as Derek mentioned, time frames do vary. We have some that are on the shorter end. We have some that are on the longer end. And, as Lisa's pointing out, her replat alone took 20 weeks. So there are some extenuating circumstances that can make it longer, but we will help you navigate all of those together. But on average, you can expect 10 to 12 months.
Well, and let's talk a little bit about what a replat even is, right? So,
Okay.
'cause that's a word that's not familiar to a lot of people. So, let's say you have a, excuse me, a couple of different instances. One could be like say you got a 12-acre piece of property, 10-acre, 12-acre piece of property, and you don't want to use all of it, or maybe your parents or grandparents are going to deed you out 2 or 3 of those acres for your home, which is awesome. That's great, super kind. Gonna be great. Living that close to your in-laws would be awesome. So you get that, you go to apply to do that. Well, the county can say in Texas, anything that is 10 acres or less that's being split up, the county can require it to be replatted into basically or platted for that matter, or replatted into basically its own little subdivision, like a very micro subdivision. In that process, you start involving surveyors, you involve the county commissioner's court, and different things going on like that. So that would be a plat. A replat, let's say, like Ms. McSumner did, let's say, is they were in a deed restricted, recorded, platted subdivision, Bridal Gate, and then they either were going to, maybe we're consolidating lots, maybe we're building over a property lot, over 2 lots that are divided, anything like that starts happening. The county can require, and often does, a replat. In other words, cool, yeah, you can do that, but we want these 2 lots consolidated into one, or these 3 lots consolidated into one, or whatever you decide you're doing. And so, and like you're saying, the Bandera County is on island time.
Yeah.
You're moving you're totally at the mercy of the county completely. I mean, you got the surveyor who you're paying to do the actual work, but they are a for-profit business, and they understand customer service, and they understand that there has to be a reasonable amount of time to do things. 20 weeks is not reasonable, in our opinion. And so I know this is not to minimize your pain, Lisa, but I've seen it take 6 months to do a replat. I've seen it take 9 months to do a replat. Travis County or City of Austin, City of Houston, different things like that. It can take forever, because again, they're not bound by time. They're just a municipality to do whatever. It's not all the time, but it's just something to start asking questions about. If you're like, oh, no big deal, we'll just get 2 acres from mom and dad and go do it. That might be totally fine. It may not be no big deal, or it may be 20 weeks of platting or replatting. So we deal with it all the time. We can put you on to surveyors that can help you out. Lisa could probably walk you through a process or two. There is the idea of, you definitely get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. So going in guns blazing to an authoritarian state, I know that's the wrong way to say it, but any county or city, that's kind of what you're dealing with. They have the ultimate authority. So I would caution against going in guns blazing, because they don't have to do anything.
Right.
Take your file, put it right back to the bottom, and you wait. So find out what the process is. Obviously, I would highly encourage you work with a surveyor who's done it before in that county, and that's a great place to get started, because they know the players. So,
yep, absolutely. And then we have a couple more questions that come through. Mark is asking if Tilson has any acres for sale. No, we do not. We build exclusively on our customers' own land, so we don't own any property that we can sell for residential. But we can, we often recommend that you go to land.com is a good place to take a peek if you're starting to look for land. And then a lot of our design centers do have some property that they know of in the area, and they can kind of guide you through that. We've got Stephanie saying, my husband has concerns about the water heater being in the attic. What precautions do y'all take to prevent leaks and water damage?
Yep, great question. And it's perfectly within code to put in the attic. It's very rare that they fail up there, particularly since all of our homes are spray foam now. You don't have freezing or anything like that. But the code requires a couple of things if you're going to locate a water heater in an attic. Number one, it has to be within 15 feet of the disappearing stairway to get to the mechanicals. So it's going to be close by. It's not going to be, walk across the attic to get to it. It's also got a couple of fail safes on it. So a couple of things on a water heater. You got a pop-off valve, which is located kind of at the top. If it starts getting overheated, that can pop off to relieve pressure, so you don't have an explosion that blows a roof off. So that comes out with a piece of CPVC pipe that goes out and drains to the outside. So even if that thing blows and goes off, all that water and pressure is going outside. And then it also has to sit in a pan of some sort. It has to be a galvanized pan or plastic pan, some type of a pan that it sits in that has a drain to the outside. So same thing, if it starts to leaking, it's going to be sitting in a pan. And by the way, we do the same thing even if it's down below in the living area. It has to be in a pan, and that pan has to have piping that goes to the exterior. I've seen homes be damaged by water heaters in the attic. I've seen homes damaged by water heaters in the living space. That's part of what insurance is for and maintenance is for. I've never seen a water heater that is maintained properly do that. I'm not saying it can't happen, but or one that doesn't have chlorine blocks stored 3 feet from it, which is typically what I see when there's erosion or corrosion. On a water heater. It's one very specific example I can think of in a home is the septic. We used to use septic chlorine tablets, and they were storing those, with all the other water stuff over here by the water heater. Well, over about a 2-year period, it corroded all of the fittings, the nipples and everything up on top of the water heater. And there was a failure. Now that was down in the living area. So, but still the damage was done. Right. But yeah, you have a pan and you've got some fail safes. Basically anytime, and this is for AC, air conditioner, this is for water heaters. They all have little pieces of piping going to the outside of your home somewhere in front of windows or down low where the water heater is. If you ever see water of any kind coming out of your house, and it's not because you've turned a faucet on, you need to go on the phone and call somebody, because there's a reason it's doing that, and it's doing it to salvage and minimize damage to the home. But I've had homes with it both ways, up in the attic, down below. About the only thing about it being down below, convenient-wise, is if you have to change it out, it's a little bit easier. But let's face it, you're not going to change that anyway, most likely. And the plumber's not going to charge you any more or less, whether it's in the attic or whether it's down in the living space. So, or even located in a garage.
So they're asking for a friend. What type of maintenance should I be doing on my water heater?
Drain it once a year. You need to drain it once a year. So you need to turn it off, hook up a water hose to it, whether it's down in the living area or in a garage or up in an attic. You run that water hose either outside or to the nearest sink or drain or whatever. That has a little thing on the bottom of it. Again, make sure it's turned off, but open that valve up and drain all the water out of it. Look for sediment. And if it's electric water heater, so if it's conventional electric water heater, it'll have usually 2 anodes, two rods in it, one up top and one down below. I take those out. I inspect them, look for corrosion, look for rust, anything like that. You can change them out. They're cheap. They're like $9 a piece at your local hardware store. McCoy's Building Supply has them. You can also, I'm sure there's places online you can find them, but you don't have to change that every year. I change them out every 2 or 3 years, depending on the type of water that you have. But certainly draining it once a year, checking out the sediment, that kind of, and then inspecting the fittings. Just look at them. Like if it doesn't look good, get somebody to change it out. That's the biggest thing. But draining it once a year will do you a lot of good. Again, just be sure you turn it off before you drain it, because if you don't, it's going to try and keep heating. Now it's heating air, and now the anodes, they bend at a 90-degree angle because they get hot and they melt. Not because I've ever done it. Oh no, 100% I've done that before. Turned it all back on without filling it with water first, and then fill it with water first, then turn it back on. Be sure it's
okay. Great. See, Jason is asking, does it matter which side of the home the septic is installed?
It does not, Jason. No, kind of whatever makes sense from a fall standpoint, right? So if you think about it, the furthest plumbing fixture away, usually a commode, tub, shower, or something, has to be able to drain to that, right? So we have a main trunk line that kind of runs through the home underneath the slab of your sewer piping, and then all of the little branches kind of go to it. Look a little bit like a tree branch coming on there, laying sideways underground. And so as long as it is downhill from the furthest point away, understand that we're building either, depending on where you're building, a foot or a foot and a half or so above the natural grade right now, minimum. you should have enough fall. And then beyond that, it really doesn't matter. There'll be some other things that come into play, like how close is it to the water well, if you have one of those, or a neighbor's water well. There's some restrictions with TCEQ, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, how close those can be together. And we can walk you through that. But the biggest thing is things go downhill unless you pay more money. That's how physics works. So it's rule one of civil engineering.
Absolutely. Danny is asking on all the water heater advice, is tankless the same process?
It actually is, which was pretty funny because I have tankless water heaters in my house, and it's kind of odd going up there in the attic and then seeing, by the way, my tankless water heaters are in my attic. Ooh, scary. But and it's kind of awkward looking at like a galvanized pan sitting on the floor of the attic underneath this thing, but because theoretically there's no water sitting in them, right? That's the whole point. Like water flows through them, but sometimes the code doesn't catch up with building methodology in time, and you have some odd well, that's strange.
All right.
But yes, it works the exact same way. It's got a pop-off valve that goes to the outside, which is necessary, and it's also got a pan that's just sitting up there, which is kind of funny.
All right, very cool.
I think you actually see it in our energy efficiency video. I think you can see it. Just anyway.
That's funny. I didn't notice. I'll have to go look.
It looks odd. We had another one.
We did?
Mark had another question about, he's a licensed real estate agent.
Yeah, he's comment. Sorry. Yep.
Sorry.
Licensed real estate agent. It is hard to find the right property. We have 4 acres, but if we if we build a $400 home, I don't think we would get our money back out of it.
I think it's 400,000 is what he means.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's kind of, Mark, that's as a real estate agent, you understand that is a function of how long you plan to stay in it, right? So, I mean, if you're trying to flip it in 1 year, maybe that'll be tough, but I would submit to you, almost anywhere in Texas, at least, if you stay in this house for 10, 12, 15 years, I don't think you're going to have a problem with getting your money back out of it. There's going to be very, very few places. I can't think of any, as a matter of fact, offhand. If you were to build a house today and go sell it in 12 years in this state, that it wouldn't be worth more money. But that's as a former licensed real estate agent, that would be my opinion. And as a purveyor of things real estate, I think you're pretty safe. But again, if depending on where, if you're trying to do it in inside of 36 months, it might be a struggle. But outside of that, I think you're going to be in good shape. I don't know a lot of people who have lost money on real estate transactions in Texas over a 10-year period, except the ones they didn't do.
That's true. Yeah. We have Ruth sharing that they were also nervous about the water heater in the attic, so they were able to change the design, expanded the laundry room and put the water heater in there. Worked very well. They put a small closet in our laundry room that has a door with weather stripping to it for energy efficiency. Very happy with that.
Gold star for Ruth. You're not comfortable with if it's going to help you sleep at night, move that joker downstairs and be done with it.
And Gary is asking, are the interest rates going to go down?
Where's your Magic 8 Ball? Who's got the Magic 8 Ball? No, that's an Astros coffee mug. That's not it. But I would say, Gary, all signs point to yes. I mean, they actually already have gone down. So this is, what do we say this is? This is December the 19th, 2023. They're down to like 6.75%. Which is down about 1% from their high, point and a quarter. So they've already come down. I think that was a direct knee-jerk reaction to the Fed's not increasing rates in November. But there's most pundits, and I guess that's what we are. If we're sitting here with heads and microphones talking on a medium of some sort, we are also pundits, which is a little disturbing to think about. Then yes, I think they're going to come down. And probably in 2024. It may not happen in the first quarter, but I think by third or fourth quarter, you're going to see some pretty significant not significant. Well, it depends on what your definition of it is, but yeah, they're going to come down.
Yeah, that's what everything is pointing to. That's what I was reading today as well. And interesting, housing prices are actually predicted to go up.
It will.
So
That is going to be the offset, Gary, and others that are watching, is if rates come down enough. I don't know what enough is. That only the consumer can tell you that, broadly speaking. But they come down enough that people who were sitting on the sidelines because they want to pay high rates all of a sudden decide to get off the sidelines. Supply and demand, the law of supply and demand takes over. And if there's low supply and high demand, prices go up. That's the deal, and that's always been the deal, and it will always be the deal.
See, we have Jason saying we're looking at building in Angelina County. We've dealt with Kenya and Katie. She's fantastic, but did not see a price for septic install in Angelina County. How will that work? Do I hire them or do you?
So great question, Jason. So in this case, we could probably go out, if you wanted us to do it, you're like, hey, look, I don't want anything to do with this. We would need to go out and submit some bids. So we don't have a lot of septic. We don't have septic installers that we do frequently in Angelina County. So we would want to reach out to some and get references or get pricing from our current suppliers to go out there. And then if that doesn't work for you, then yes, you can hire them to get it done. We can put an allowance in the loan for the homeowner to do it. We've done that before as well, actually pretty frequently. So let's say, hey, look, I'm going to take care of it, but I want to put whatever, $10,000 into the loan, in the contract, to pay for me to do a septic system. So it would be a septic by owner allowance of whatever the number you decide needs to be. And we can put that in the loan. So the money is set aside there, but you can handle it. And again, we're still going to be helping you with that. Like, hey, once we're done with the brick of the home, it's time to start working on that septic system. So let's get it installed. There will be some upfront legwork to be done, and that is getting the septic design done after we get the house staked out or located on your site. And then your septic can come out and make that happen.
Perfect.
Brother,
I want to watch you build it and we move in. Yes, that is how I approach all of these projects as well.
100%.
Absolutely.
And Mark's cruising out. He's got to go celebrate Christmas. So Merry Christmas, Mark. Thanks for watching, buddy. Thanks for the questions. And now next is, all right. So again, keep popping your questions in. We're gonna keep asking. We're answering every single one of these. So put your question in the chat, and we will answer all of them. Pass. What's the next question?
Well, this question is asked a lot, Eric.
Yeah.
We get a lot of people asking us, what is your price per square foot?
Yep. And my usual response is, how long is a piece of string? So we will play this game. Yeah, this is a question, guys.
Well, let's talk about why that's not a great question.
Dawn, I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked, Dawn. So yeah, and I don't know I don't know what happened in the time continuum of where we were trained to ask this, because I've gone through a couple pickup trucks, like literally gone through till the motors just give out, quitters. And by the way, it doesn't matter the brand; they all quit. Ford, Chevy, I can kill them all. So, but not one time when I've gone to buy one have I ever been quoted a price per pound for a pickup truck. I've never asked about the price per pound for a pickup truck. I have had more than my fair share of cheeseburgers. It's probably my number one favorite meal on the planet. And there's a lot of dispute and discussion about where I like to get my cheeseburgers from. And it's an argument I will not indulge you with today. But suffice to say, regardless of where I've gone, right or wrong, I have never been asked or quoted a price per ounce for my cheeseburger, or a steak for that matter, or a chicken or anything else. But for whatever reason, we are trained early on to ask, what's a house cost per square foot? Even though it is infinitely more complicated than a car or a cheeseburger or a ribeye steak. For whatever reason, it's like apples to apples. All houses should cost X per square foot in this particular area, which makes no sense because not enough detail is in the question, if you go back to your schooling days, to be able to give you a sufficient answer. And let me do a very rudimentary explanation of why. I can already tell me and Jason we're gonna have a falling out on the Whataburger thing. I'm looking forward to it. So, yeah, we can have this conversation maybe offline. I don't know. Unpopular opinion, I'll do it. I'll go ahead and go there. Why not? It's close to Christmas. You have to be nice to me. Whataburger's overrated. 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 Not saying it's not good at the right time. It's just overrated. Okay. Anyway, I can't get into this. I take too much flack for it.
Those are fighting worse.
I know. Believe me, I know. So, Anyway, like, hey, I used to do 70,000 miles a year on a truck. I have had a lot of fast food cheeseburgers, a lot of Whataburgers, a lot of Wendy's, a lot of stuff I should never eat. And if my primary care physician is watching, this is all for show. None of this is real. But anyway, price per foot. Okay. So we're talking. Yep, this is it. We lose all of our listeners. I'm sorry, Don. I'm here to be real. I'm transparent. That's one of our things. Their breakfast is good. Whataburger's breakfast is very good. So here we have two examples of two different structures. Let's call them homes just for simplicity's sake. And I deal with very easy round numbers because I'm a very simple Aggie. So we got two buildings here. One's 10 by 10, one's 50 by 2. Obviously, one's way more comfortable than the other, but this is just for transparency purposes only. So 10 by 10 square. I have in both of these examples 100 square feet of living area, right? 10 by 10 or 50 by 2, doesn't make any difference. I have 100 square feet. Okay, got that established. So they are exact same square footage, no deviation whatsoever. Here's the kicker. Now let's go to the perimeter. So it's a little bit tougher math because you got to add. But 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 is 40. So the top example of the square has 40 lineal feet of perimeter around the outside. That is correct. That is correct. Because I lose the argument every time, even among Tilson homes. I'm telling you, I'm the black sheep of the Tilson homes family when it comes to where to eat. But 50 by 2. All right, so we got 50 and 50. That's 100, and 2 plus 2 is still equal to 4. So on the bottom example, I have 104 lineal feet of perimeter. So before we talk about anything else, all right, so we're not talking about ceiling heights, wall plates, exterior veneers. Is it stone? Is it stucco? Is it hardy? Right? What are we doing out here? Is it brick? What kind of cabinets? What kind of countertops? What kind of plumbing fixtures? What kind of light fixtures? What kind of floor coverings? None of that we're even having a conversation about. We already know the bottom example has almost 2.5 times more lineal feet of perimeter. That's waste, that's man hours, that's actual material, right? Like the 2x4 studs, insulation, all that kind of stuff that goes around the outside. So the question is, should these two homes cost the same price per square foot? Well, clearly not. You can't build them. So like the top one should cost less per square foot because you're using a lot less material, you have a lot less waste relative to the bottom one. And again, we've not talked about any of the finishes: cabinets, countertops, plumbing fixtures, light fixtures, floor coverings, ceiling heights, exterior veneers, all of which has a significant impact on the price per square foot. Porches, right? Garages. So those are things to consider. Another one is one of Don's favorites she points out is, what kind of square footage are we talking about here? Are we talking about the living area? Are we talking about the total slab area? Are we talking about area under roof? Are we talking about, so a lot of builders, particularly if they're quoting you a price per square foot, or for sure if they're advertising a price per square foot, they're going to, the larger square footage you divide something into, the lower the price per square foot is going to be. So just be very, very careful comparing things on price per square foot. These are not cans of ranch style beans or Rotel, guys. These are highly complicated, big systems. You got HVAC systems, plumbing systems, electrical systems, finishes, textures, exterior veneers that all have major impacts on the price. Do not get caught up in the trick and trap that is price per square foot. It will lead you down a very dangerous road, and you're going to be really disappointed. Are you muted, Dawn?
I am muted. Sorry. While I was typing.
What you were saying was how much you agree with me on the Whataburger thing, but I heard, I could read your lips and see that that was
not, in fact, saying that. No,
I did have some examples to.
You did, yeah.
Okay, if there's anyone still watching, they all may have left. I don't know, but I will stick to my principle.
There was a mass exodus after the controversial Whataburger.
That's not true. You know that people will stay and argue. This is the internet we're talking about. So here we go. Just to almost to illustrate the point. Here's a house that's 2,091 square feet of heated and cooled living area, right? So we're not talking about The porches, the lanais. By the way, if it ever says the word lanai, you can automatically assume it's expensive. Front porches, we got garages here on a 45 angle. We have a lot of corners, a lot of twists and turns. I actually got quoted homeowners insurance once upon a time by having me count the corners of my home.
Oh,
The
interesting.
reason being, they use that to kind of put it in various tiers of price per square foot. The more corners a house has, the more it's going to cost to replace for the insurance company. Therefore, they want to know how many corners my house had. Luckily, the house was 150 square feet. It had like 6 corners. There was not a whole lot going on with that house. So the deal is there's a lot going on in this home. Okay, you got a lot of angles. I don't know what the plate heights are, but you got a lot of ceiling treatments. Obviously, it's probably going to have some high-end finishes. You got some tapered columns out front. You got steep roof pitch. You got trusses. You got stone. We got all kinds of different veneers. So this house compared to another 2,078 square foot home. So these houses are only 13 square feet of living area different. But suffice to say, you could hand these two plans to a framer, and you're going to get two vastly different prices quoted to you to build it.
Right. And you
Basically
should.
rectangle, not a lot going on. And you should. Exactly. You should. These two homes should not cost the same price. So if you got a builder out there saying, oh, we charge $195 a square foot, and that includes all of our standard features. Like, well, wait a minute. You've got 12 different designs. Right. So you're paying for the highest one, even if you build the simplest one. You're paying for this one, even if you build this one. So don't go down that rabbit hole. Stay out of that trap. You want an upfront price with basically line item for all the components you chose, what level of granite you chose, what level of cabinets you chose, light fixtures, plumbing fixtures, floor coverings, all that stuff. And that way you know exactly what you're getting for the price you're paying. And that's all I have to say about that, as Forrest Gump would say.
All right. We had a couple of more questions come through. We've got Jessica who says, we finally met with Tilson and we're able to get a contract signed in a weekend trip. Awesome. Congratulations. Thank you. First item of business is digging a well. Do you have recommendations for where to place that on the property? We are on a very flat piece of land, if that matters.
Yeah, it doesn't matter a whole lot, Jessica. I don't know how big the property is, but it's going to be kind of a holistic view, because you got to plan your septic system along with the water well, like we talked about earlier. Those two have to be away from each other a certain number of feet, depending on what type of well it is, and the septic has to be a certain number of feet away from any of your neighboring properties. I don't know how big the property is, but if you have neighbors that have water wells, and all this is on record, so and the septic company and the water well drilling company will take this into consideration. So this isn't something you have to figure out all by yourself. But those will all play into where the water well is going to ultimately go. It's usually easiest to locate the septic where the septic's going to be first, so we can come out there and do on the site evaluation with your stakeout superintendent. We can absolutely help you locate kind of where the top maybe 2 or 3 areas that would be that based on our opinion, and then kind of leave it up to between you and your well installer or you and the septic person. We would gladly do that, and we can give a couple of options and what our opinions are. But it's suffice to say it's going to be pretty easy to do. I keep it someplace that's relatively close to the house, because you got to run water lines from there to the home, and you want to be out there. If something happens or if a freeze is happening, you want to be able to get out there pretty easily and wrap pipes or put a little heater in there, different things like that. I would never suggest anything more than maybe 150 or 200 feet away, says the guy whose water well is 330 feet away from his house. But
put it where you find water.
Put it where you find water. Yeah, that's a great point, Dawn. Yeah, absolutely. Put it where they can find water, and we can help walk you through that.
It's Gary asking, we did the Muddy Boots open house tour, but I didn't pay attention to the AC. What brand do y'all install?
Linux. Yeah, we've been very, very happy with Linux.
Mike asking, are material costs still high or have they come down?
They have not come down very much at all. Some things have. I mean, obviously, lumber has come down from its peak, but it's about the only thing. But it was outrageous. I mean, so it had to come down, right? But other things, they really haven't come down that much. Your sheetrock, your appliances, AC systems, those things. And if you think about it, Mike, all those are still paying labor to get those things manufactured. And so labor has certainly not come down. The price someone gets per hour for doing a job to make a widget has not come down. I mean, and that's kind of how that's the problem with inflation and the economy as a whole is once a worker bee gets accustomed to a certain level of income, it's really hard to walk that back, to put that toothpaste back in the tube, as the old saying goes. So
Mhm.
it makes it very difficult to drive the overall price of things down because the price of things requires, hands to make those things, some level of expertise. It requires a truck to get those things from A to B to C, um, or a ship in some cases, which is not doing a whole lot of favors over in the Red Sea. Everything's now being diverted around the Cape of Good Hope, around the bottom of Africa. To give you your geography lesson, like that is not going to make things cost less when you
Right.
can't go through the Suez Canal because you might get shot at by a missile. And by the way, Lloyd's of London, those guys, they get very twitchy, as Don likes to say, when they're insuring vessels owned by Maersk that could get shot with a missile. So they start saying things like, we're going to charge you X to insure that ship this year, or we will not insure you if you go that route. So I know that sounds a little bit, I'm not trying to get political, but all those things have an impact on what
Right.
things cost. Like if I have to go around Africa instead of going through the Suez Canal, through the Red Sea, that's going to add time. It's going to add money because ships don't run on hope.
Yeah. Great. Jason's asking, I think the connection to electrical was an allowance of 60 feet. What is it on water? The property actually has community water, but no sewer.
Right. So it's 50 feet of water. And I prefer to tell people, Jason, 60 feet of electrical. The reason 50 feet of electrical also, we say 60 because there is some distance to when you get, to the house, you got to go up the house 5 feet or so. You also have to go up the pole, I don't know how tall the pole is to the transformer, but that entire, the wrong way, that entire travel is the 60 feet. So where the meter's going to be on the house, down in the ground, up the pole, that's the 60 feet. So I try to tell people, hey, just do 50 feet of each, and you'll be very, very, very close. But and yeah, no sewer, so you have a septic system.
And he said, despite your Whataburger opinion, he did stay, but he would also never argue, even if I'm right.
Jason's a much bigger man than I am.
Ashley is asking, can we still build with Tilson if we already have financing?
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. So let's get, we want to talk to your lender, obviously, and they'll want to talk to us. And as long as we can, agree to the terms, everything like that, we're all good to go. That won't be a problem. Yeah, so Tilson doesn't presently have its own financing wing or arm or subsidiary or company. We use third-party companies. 80% of we have two companies that finance 80% of the homes that we build for our customers, but it's strictly for our customers. There's no financial benefit to Tilson. There's no affiliated business agreement. There's no anything like that. They truly are a totally different company. We refer folks to them because they've been doing it for 20 years, each of them respectively, on your lot. And on your lot, it's a very peculiar little animal when it comes to the appraisal and the order of things, and then the finals and the inspections and all that. And most mortgage companies start looking at you like you've got three heads when we tell them how building your lot does business. Now, where I will draw the line, Ashley, and I'm going to do this for you as a solid. You will thank me later. We're not going to do your Wells Fargo's, your Bank of America, and because it will never get done. That's why they cannot. They are too large, too bureaucratic, and you cannot find somebody who is fluent in build on your land. Whoever the loan
Particularly build on your land without a construction loan.
Right. Well, even that, they won't even touch a construction loan. Like they don't understand it. If it's not a resale or new construction that's already sitting there, they don't get it. My other good rule of thumb is, Ashley, if your loan officer has more than a 5-digit extension, once you call in, kick him to the curb. This is not good. It's not going to end well. You're never going to be able to get a hold of them, particularly when chips are down, which is when it matters most. So that's my take. Put Chase in there too. No Chase, no Bank of America, no Wells Fargo, no none of that.
No Rocket Mortgage.
Absolutely no Rocket Mortgage.
I'll extend that to any online that you see advertised.
Or as I nicknamed them, Torpedo Mortgage. So.
Nick is asking when you build on Pier and Dean Foundation.
We have done it in the past, Nick. We don't have a formal program set up. It's not to say that we wouldn't do that. So we'd be glad to take a look at the plans. It would really depend on where it's being done. And we'd have to be flexible with our engineers, and they need to be comfortable with what we're doing. But it's not something we do broadly speaking anymore. We did it forever for 50 years. That's kind of like all we did. So it's not like we don't have the experience, but it has been a long time since that's been a normal foundation application in the areas that we build. So we'd want to be very certain of where that's being done, and to be sure for your sake that we had a contractor base that was familiar with working with that we were comfortable with. Is that right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Don.
That makes sense.
Little affirmation. All
right.
All right. Keep asking your questions, folks. We got a couple more minutes here. We got a few more really frequently asked questions to do, but we want to hear from you. These are fantastic questions y'all are asking. Dawn,
Absolutely.
how much?
Some of these we need to add back in.
How much can I change your plans?
Well, pretty much just about anything. So my favorite summary, this is Cara Polly, back when she was the manager of our San Marcos office. The limits on our floor plan changes are the laws of physics, building code, and your budget. So those are the three things that really are the restrictions on how much you can change one of our plans. So change as much as you want it. You can move room walls around, you can add rooms, you can include a garage, you can change the exterior materials, roof lines. There's a handful of things we're not going to do. We're not going to build a basement because that's just a swimming pool. Things like that we can very easily sum up for you quickly if you can show us the plans that you want to do. But other than that, we can change whatever. We do have a few recommendations when you are making those changes, just some things to keep in mind that make it easier and most cost efficient for you. Look at our pre-designed custom options on the plans first. Those have already been done by our drafting department. We know that everything with them is going to work. When you open your refrigerator, you can still walk by that kitchen island. All of those types of things have been troubleshot with our team. So it's going to be, a better solution for you. It's much easier to change the outside of a home than it is to say, I like this, make this, do your thing. I want this floor plan, that kind of thing. When you start moving floor plans around, you're changing the exterior. So it's much easier if you start with the floor plan, focus on the room orientation that works for you, which floor plan is where you want to live, and then we can change the outside rather than trying to go in reverse, because those two things affect each other as far as the elevation of roof lines and things like that. We also recommend start with a smaller house and add the features from the bigger house that you want, rather than trying to take a big home and make it smaller. Just because it's better. It's more cost efficient for you to go the opposite way, because again, one of those things, when we start taking out the things in the bigger home, it starts affecting the outside, and you have to compensate in other ways. Those are kind of the guidelines there.
Perfect. That's absolutely right.
Here's another one. What options do you offer for financing construction? So how do I pay for this thing, Eric?
Yeah, you have to pay for sure. So there's a couple. There's really three, boil it all the way down. First one's going to be cash. So if someone is, as Don often says, when I grew up, this is how we want to pay for a home.
Teach me your ways.
You can pay cash for a home. And about 15 to 18% of our customers, that's what they do. They've made equity in the home they have, and they've sold it. Maybe they're downsizing, or maybe they just made a bunch of money on it, and they're between that and some of their savings or retirement, they pay cash for the house. They don't have a mortgage. The other very common way, I actually mentioned construction loans first. So the other very common way for building a custom home on your land is a construction loan. So it's a short-term loan designed to pay for literally the construction of the home. So this is how 99.9% of home builders require that you build a home if you're going to build it on your land in Texas. Is the home buyer, the landowner, go out and get a loan from some type of mortgage company, bank, financial institution, and pay for the materials and the labor and stuff, kind of pay as you go to build the home, and there's interest on that accruing. And then lastly is Tilson's EasyBuy program, which is exclusive to us, at least for sure in the Texas market. And that is where Tilson doesn't necessarily have to require you to get a construction loan. If you have the equity requirements met that we require and you qualify for the permanent loan, Tilson will actually build the entire house out of its own pocket with its own money. So we'll get into that here in a second. So cash. All right. First and foremost, easy enough. You get a 2% discount off the base price of the home. That's kind of just like a hassle factor for us because you're cutting an entire entity out of the transaction. There's no mortgage company at all. You automatically have no closing cost if you do a cash deal. There's no title policies to pay for, no mortgagee's policy to pay for, no escrows to pay for. So that's not necessary. And then payments are made kind of on a schedule, on a draw schedule, if you're doing cash. So, and these are the various stages that you would owe. So basically 35% when we start, another 15% once the slab's poured, another 15% once the roof is installed, another 15% at the sheetrock stage, another 15% at the trim stage, and then you don't pay us the final 5% until you've done your walkthrough, everything's good to go, and you're ready to actually take possession of the home and get the keys. And then we get the 5%, you get the keys, and then your warranty kicks in. EasyBuy financing, no construction loan, no monthly payments during construction, no interest is accruing during construction, no down payment if you have the 10% equity requirement. So you really it's just the deposit of $3,000, and we build the home from zero to completely finished out of our own back pocket, as long as we have an approval for the permanent loan from your lender. And then finally, construction loan. We will do construction loans. For a long time we would not, but now we absolutely will if that's how you want to do it. It works great for people who some programs have low equity, but in most cases you are going to have more equity for a construction loan. There is going to be interest that's accruing during construction. You'll have some additional closing costs, so they certainly are more expensive than Tilson's EasyBuy program. But for some folks, it's a better deal for them in a couple of isolated cases. Sometimes you're 100% VA financing. Sometimes you can only qualify FHA with 3.5% down. In those cases, a construction loan, it would be a viable option. If you can't come up with the rest of the equity, it's going to be a little more costly, but you can still get the deal done and get in the house. So,
right. Well, then there's the opportunity cost of getting into the house sooner rather than waiting, and prices go up and you don't know what's going to happen.
Totally. So as we had some questions pop up, you want to cover those?
Yes, let's cover those. Let's see. We have Kathy asking, do you have any floor plans that are currently not on the website? Yes, but so yes, we have a few that are under development that aren't. So everything on the website we can price for you in-house right away. They're already, we're maintaining the pricing, we're maintaining all of those documents that are associated with the plan in-house, so we can get you easier pricing on it. We have a lot of houses that we've built that the floor plans, the customer created them themselves, working with us. So the changes and all of that. So if you see, a house that you like in one of our videos, or if there's changes that you want to make, odds are we've done it before. Talk to your design consultant. They can pull out those designs for you and work on the pricing. And then, we do have plans that are in development, but they don't hit our website or hit our locations until we have that pricing already prepared for our design consultants. So yes, but we are a custom builder, so you can also bring us your ideas and we'll draw whatever you want. But the bulk of what we do is on our website, and then you can just start making modifications.
Well said.
Jason is saying, I understand that with spray foam insulation, I'm limited to the type of wood burning fireplace I can have. I want a traditional wood burning fireplace, hearth, etc. What are my options? Do I have to change the insulation in the entire house, or just the wall with the fireplace?
Okay, so great question. And actually, it's not the insulation on the wall that matters. So I want to clear that up because that sounded like we maybe didn't do a great job of explaining that. It has to do with the tightness of the house, Jason. So we have to achieve, to meet the energy code, depending on where you're building, either 3 or 5 air changes per hour max. The house is tested with a blower door test. We have a really great video with really mediocre talent explaining that on our YouTube channel called the Energy Efficiency and the Craftsmanship Series. So, but what it has more to do with is, so a traditional wood burning fireplace is a big, much larger hole that air can escape out of. So the energy code in where we live, climate zones 2 and 3, according to the Energy Conservation Code, International Energy Conservation Code. It's about tightness in our neck of the woods. Like, we're not worried about it getting 20 below like they are in Wyoming or Montana or the Dakotas or something like that. Ours is about losing the air that you're paying to cool and then on occasion heat, much rarely. So how do we do that? Well, we make sure that all of your exterior doors, windows, exterior corners, toe plates or base plates that are on the slab, all of those things are tight, super, super tight. And then the spray foam is how we achieve that, broadly speaking. Really tightens the house up nice. You don't lose a lot of that. And let's face it, 10 months out of the year, your AC is running at where we live. And so what you don't want to have happen is that air to leak out of the house. The best way we have found to prevent that is with spray foam insulation. Obviously, the Tyvek with the tape, that helps a lot. The way that we tape the windows, that helps a lot. Even if you use the Advantech zip system, whatever, you can tape that up. The fact remains that spray foam is still the best solution to keeping the house tight. So here's the kicker. You put a wood-burning fireplace in there in a spray foam house. If it doesn't have its own combustible air source, you're going to have a very difficult time keeping a fire going. That's what we found is fire needs a couple of things to burn. It needs fuel and it needs fresh air. The fuel part's no problem. You can pull all the wood in there you want to. If you don't have fresh air, the wood's going to sit there and smoke. So that's the kicker when it comes to the wood burning fireplaces we offer. We can offer you a traditional wood burning fireplace. It is going to have it's going to have sealed doors on it. So literally you'll be able to close the doors, and they have like obviously a fire resistant, fireproof weather stripping around them, where we can close those, run our blower door test, and pass. Because if you don't have that, it will not pass the blower door test. And also you won't be able to get enough fresh air into it to keep a fire going, which is going to make you an upset customer, which we don't want. We don't want that.
Yeah, we found that people don't like it when you have to open a window to make your fireplace work.
Right. Even though that's what I used to do in my old house. I would open a window because I liked a raging fire in my wood burning fireplace. The house I'm in now, I am not allowed to have a wood burning fireplace in there because my wife said no. So it didn't matter what types we offered. It was a no. I have an outside fireplace, and she doesn't care what we do out there. By and large, we can't cook the cats or the chickens or things like that. But broadly speaking, it's pretty fair game out there. But inside the home, yeah, we have two different wood burning fireplaces that we offer. One's the Constitution, and there's another one. So forgive me, it eludes me right this second. But your sales consultant at the office can show those to you. You can still raise them up and have them on a hearth. You can still do all that stuff with them and have a true wood burning fireplace in your home. I know closing the doors, you're right, but that's strictly to pass the test. So you don't have to have the doors closed to run the fireplace. I want to be sure that we're very clear about that.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Once you're living in the house, if you want to have those doors open while the fireplace is going, be my guest. It's so you can close them.
Those doors are just to keep the air from passing
right.
back and forth
exactly
when you're not
right.
using the fireplace.
That's exactly right.
See, I was with Jason. I thought you had to close the doors in order to actually have the fire.
You don't have to close the door of your house if you don't want to. I don't care what you do. You can leave your garage doors open. You can leave your front door open. I don't care. I don't care.
I have 3 dogs. I have to close the door of my house.
Because they'll leave or they'll come back. Which one is this? But yeah, it's so that you truly could close the door. The fire could go in there. The fire would actually keep burning until it burns all the way out. It wouldn't just snuff out like it would on a regular wood burning fireplace if you deprived it of oxygen, of air. But yeah, that's can be done. It's more of an energy compliance thing than it is a well. But I will say, if we put a regular old wood burning fireplace in a spray foam house, you ain't gonna be happy.
No. Oh, learn something new. Fox, I'm sharing that with a slightly larger custom Fayetteville C on Lake Fork is rocking along. We have shelves in and the interior paint is done. The rock fireplace and granite is set to be in by Christmas. We are having too much fun. Awesome.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing.
And she says, Matt M is wonderful. So that's pass that along. Elizabeth is asking, do you have any current special deals on any of your home plans? And no, we do not. I have seen that there are some builders that are advertising deals on specific plans, and I'm just gonna be honest with you guys. I find that really weird for something you haven't to discount something you haven't built. It doesn't exist. Why is one cheaper than the other? I don't really understand that logic. But no, the prices that you see are our prices.
Yeah.
We've got Shanisha saying, I just got on here and probably missed the answer. I'm curious on how long you should own your land to qualify for the Tilson EasyBuy.
Oh, it's not a length of time to own your land, Tanisha. It is a equity requirement, which someone else asked.
Yeah.
What's the
I was saying,
requirement for Tilson's
look
Easy
into
Buy? And
that.
that is 10% equity. So you would take the value of the land, whatever you bought it for. It sounds like you bought it pretty recently, but let's say you bought it for 55, or let's not get carried away. $50,000. No reason to put fives on there. Let's say you bought the land for $50,000, or it's worth $50,000, whatever it was given to you, and then you're building a home that is $350,000. So all in the value, the day that we're done with that house, you could sell the land and the house sitting on it for $400,000, right? $350,000 for the house, $50,000 for the land, 400 total. Tilson would want $40,000 paid into that land in some way. If it's worth 50, you're good. You don't need anything for Tilson's Easy Buy. And then beyond that, we would just have to look at it from an equity standpoint where you stood, and go from there.
Yeah. And actually, the only other requirement for EasyBuy is that you would need to get pre-approved for your final mortgage. So we would need to see proof of that qualification. And Stephanie is asking, can you tell me the difference between the regular master bathtub and your soaking tub?
No, I cannot. Because I think
that is a term that drafting tends to use on the floor plans. And honestly, the common thing that I see is size. When they say soaking tub, it's usually a bigger bathtub.
Yeah, so Stephanie, I think I'm trying to think, like maybe in our Heritage Series homes, so some of the smaller ones, like your 1,200 to what is it, probably 1,800 square foot homes. It is typically the base design would be like a tub shower combo in the master, which would be like your kind of traditional 60-inch by 32-inch tub that has a shower or tub feature. And then once we say soaking tub, we're typically talking 60 by 42. We're typically talking at least 10 inches wider on a soaking tub. But every plan, I think typically over 1,800, 2,000 square feet and on up, it's going to be either just a standalone shower, or if it does have a tub of any kind or tub option, it's going to be the soaking tub. It's going to be 60 by 42. We have it for sure in the master.
Jason has a math problem for us. What if the land is worth, say, $10K, but I'm building a $350,000 home? Will that equity be offset if I use the easy financing and have, say, $300,000 in cash to put into it?
It would, but you wouldn't need to put near that much cash into it, Jason. So let's go with both of the example, right? So let's say the land is worth 10,000, and the home's 350. So we're talking 360,000 total value. Tilson would just require $36,000 in equity. So let's say you had 10,000, you put $26,000 down. That would meet our requirement. If you want to put more down, you're certainly welcome to do that. We have customers that want to put 10% down. They want to put 20% down. What I would say in this situation is there aren't going to be a lot of mortgage companies that will finance less than 100,000. So remember, for them, it's a 30-year play, right? It's a 30-year investment. They're investors too. They're trying to make money on their money. So the reason home mortgage rates are lower than any other thing you buy, right? Four-wheelers, RVs, mobile homes, cars, is because it's a solid investment for the lender, right? It's pretty safe. And it's for a long period of time. It's a 30-year to 15, 20 or 30 year. So in that case, because of that, they're not going to lend less than these days. I think $100,000. They're just not. There's not enough meat on the bone, so to speak. There's not enough money in it for them. They have to have at least $100,000 worth of principal out there to lend on. So that might be something. But still, your payments would be very, very minimal on something like that. But all you would have to have for our qualification to do EasyBuy would be a $26,000 down payment to get you to that 10%, that $36,000 of $360,000.
Okay.
Okay.
And that is the last question.
we're going to call it then. We're going to call that last call. Jason, everybody, thank y'all so much for watching and asking these questions. Obviously, it doesn't have to end here. We got a website that's open 24/7. We got 12 locations open 7 days a week. We are closed Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and New Year's Day. I don't think we're closed New Year's Eve. I could be wrong, but I don't think we are. We have a YouTube channel that's got a tremendous amount of content on there. We've got a Facebook page, we got an Instagram page. Did we go live on X and Instagram this time?
We did not. I'm trying to figure that out because the problem is on Instagram it's a different orientation. So I don't want to.
Are we gonna be like Brady Bunch that like one of us goes above the other person?
Well, I don't know if I'm gonna have to play with it. I don't know if it would just like cut each of us in half or like what it would do to
drop us in the comments. Folks, would you watch us on? So you're on Facebook, almost everybody here, Facebook or YouTube. Would you watch us on Twitter? Would you watch? Excuse me, X. Would you watch us on the Gram? Would you watch this long form content on there? Because they have added those to those two platforms. So we'll do it if there are people there that'll watch it. But we're not really the vanity type, Don and me, so we're not gonna get on there just for fun. It's not really our jam, but if it will benefit the people looking to get their questions answered, we will 100% do it. So with all that to say, Dawn, Merry Christmas. I wish you Merry Christmas, everybody out there. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And I don't know what our schedule looks like, and I won't publish that here, but I'll leave that up to Dawn as I do all things. But thank you all for watching. Obviously, reach out. We got new home specialists standing by to make appointments for you to get these questions answered with our sales consultants in our offices. So between now and then, we really, really soon hope to make you part of the Tilson family. We'll see you guys later. I haven't eaten today, so Jason, I might be that hungry when I go get a Whataburger. Who knows?
All right. Bye, everybody.
See y'all.